Hello and welcome. I am the Suit&Tie Dip&ChewGuy, and this is Face Off number 8. This one will be Stoker straight versus Copenhagen straight. All right. There will be a number of pauses during this where I pause to change camera setup and whatnot, and I am not overly sure if I will be using both during the video, just for length of video times and whatnot. The only other thing about this is the Stoker's can is open. The reason for this is my refill can. Okay, so I get Stoker's in tubs, and at the moment this is the only tub I have in house. It's obviously opened. Now Stoker's tubs do come with pocket cans. I do not use them. Nice idea, nice of them to add it. However, it is a pretty light plastic can with plastic lid. I do not care for them. And since I also buy rolls from time to time, I usually end up using a regular Stoker's can as my refill can. So that is why this is open. There is nothing on the Stoker's end to open. This is my last tub and it's already opened. So the Copenhagen product is opened. Okay, I'm not going to be going over the packaging overly much. I will link the short format reviews of both at the end of this video. So with that, we are going to take it over to the desk and take a closer look at the products in both cans. Back in a moment. Okay, so here we are. Now, if for some reason I do not use each product individually, one, the Stoker's is my daily, so I've had this multiple times today. And as far as the Copenhagen Straight, it is pretty fresh in my mind because I had a can of it earlier this week. So after doing so many of these reviews, neither of these is a question in my mind in what I'm telling you. So they are both standard size dip cans. The Stoker's cans are not as thin of a rim, but sort of in the same way as American Snuff Company products. This one is in bronze, and so is the Copenhagen, although it is a more of a boxed in the U.S. smokeless fashion. So this is U.S. Smokeless Tobacco Company, the Copenhagen product, obviously, the makers of Copenhagen, Skoal, Husky, and Red Seal, which was slipping my mind there for a second. And this is from National Tobacco Company, or Turning Point Brands, although I am sure they probably have National Tobacco on the back. There it is, out of Louisville, Kentucky. It is basically the only dip product that National Tobacco makes, with the exception of the smoker-friendly products. So we will run through the side and whatnot real quick. Nashville, Tennessee is where U.S. Smokeless is headquartered out of. That is a code if you want to pause and try to use it. And on the back, you have a sell-by date. Pretty clear. All good there. Now, this can, I don't know how old this is, actually. Well, as it turns out, had this been an unopened can, it would still be, mind you, this can is probably 3 months old-esque. But on the side, you have this, and let me get that straightened up for you if I can. There we go. The big difference here, and the thing that we're going to be looking at, or you should pay attention to, is the cuts. Now, I have no problem with the Copenhagen cut, but that said, it is definitely not the Stoker's cut. All right? So I'm going to open the Copenhagen first. You'll have to apologize for my hands. I was having to wear work gloves for about a week there due to some issues with thorns. And that is what you're looking at inside the can. Now, people have been pointing out as recent, this happens like like twice a year, I see a flurry of comments in different places about the cuts going off. Keep in mind, with the exception of the Copenhagen products that are in fiberboard, everything else is a second tier within the Copenhagen line as far as Copenhagen is concerned. Okay, so the cuts are not going to be dead on at all times. They're not going through the same processes of the first tier things. But that is what you're looking at, and that is representing basically about dead on. All right, so let's just put that to the side for a second. We'll open this up. And this is the Stoker's product. And yes, there will be, especially in tubs, discrepancies, as you can see. Let me file that in the little cuss real quick. And that is representing basically dead on. Now, if you're looking at this thinking, wow, that looks like really moist, that's because it is. And I don't even have this can packed thoroughly, like filled all the way to a 1.2 ounce weight. So this has been airing in the can for since lunchtime, I suppose. All right. So looking at both have a moisture level higher than any, let's say, Grizzly product or Skull. All right. They're both representing, color-wise, dead on. Now, the difference here comes, let me wipe my hand here, although I do have a second, and I wasn't even a Boy Scout. There we go. The difference here comes when you start looking at the cut. So let me get a little bit of the Copenhagen out here, and we will start pushing that around a little bit. All right. So let's get that over. And then over here, let me wipe my hands off because I don't want any cross-contamination. And as you can see, this is going to start acting a little bit differently. It's actually wanting to clump by itself, which is what you're seeing, which you will see more in tubs, especially if you happen to shake the tub afterwards. You can also see the moisture level here. It's coming off on the paper towel. I can dab it. Now, with the Copenhagen product, it will be somewhat like that too. Actually, it's really doing it tonight. So the Copenhagen product is definitely, you know what, I can feel that. I can feel that. So good one, Copenhagen. It's wanting to clump up by itself a little bit. Usually they are not, although a moist product, not usually that moist, but this is a good can of that. This really wants to, wow, okay. I'm having a hard time separating so you can even see it. So as you can see, there are some considerably longer strands in the Stoker's product. And that's why I use it. And that's part of the reason I use it. The Copenhagen product's going to have higher nicotine. All right? Now, depending how fresh or moist my Stoker's tubs are, I will spice things up a little bit with baking soda and whatnot. So nicotine-wise, you know, it varies. But as is, out of store, without any modifications, the Copenhagen product is going to be higher nicotine. All right? The Stoker's product, not as high. Definitely not as high. Probably not even close. That said, because of the cut here, you can put a lot larger size pinch in without having any problems. Okay? I put in a large size. I will show you what I put in. I'm putting in like that. Now, I don't have to back that with a finger. I'm putting in at least that. In fact, my pinches are so large as Stoker's that not only do I have it tucked around the side anymore, but it's basically in my cheek. And I will move it up over my molars and actually bite down on it like chew. And it stays together. It stays together, and like, I mean, I wouldn't start actively chewing it. It's not gum, but now, as far as pinching goes, the Copenhagen product is pretty good too, but I feel that already breaking apart, and yep, see, it's falling. As far as a long cut goes, and this is the thing, as far as a long cut goes, the Copenhagen Straight is an excellent product. Highest grades for me. The thing here is, it doesn't quite match up to Stoker's. Now, flavor-wise, it doesn't match up either. Actually, both of these aren't even really comparable. They are two very different flavor profiles. So, to try to say one is better than the other would not be fair. But I do want to stress, as far as the cut goes, the Copenhagen product is only, in my mind, second to the Stoker's. Okay? The Copenhagen product would be 5 stars in my mind, but it's only 4, but that's only because I am overly familiar with the Stoker's product. All right? And the Stoker's product basically beats out everything. All right? No fault of the Copenhagen Straight at all. It's a good showing cut-wise. But I couldn't honestly tell you that it is more to my liking than the Stoker's. I mean, if you look at this, some of the strands there in between those clumps, the Copenhagen product is obviously long cut too, but not quite to that extent. All right? So I think I will actually do a little bit of both of these, and I'm going to try to keep this under 20 minutes. So we're going to go back up top real quick, and I will give thoughts and see if I have any new insight on either of the flavors. Okay, and we are back, but I have that camera adjusted way too much off to that one way with the light. So we will go with the Copenhagen product first. And as I said, I already know. I mean, I know already anyway, but I just had a can of this week, so. And there it is, okay. So, it's one of the 2 smoky flavor profile straights. The other one would be Grizzly Dark Select. Grizzly Dark Select, I think the smoky aspect is actually turned up quite a bit. And I think they did that on purpose because I think American Snuff Company was taking aim at Copenhagen Straight with their release of the Grizzly Dark Select. It's got mouthfeel. Now, I don't usually dip in the front anymore, but it does actually have mouthfeel up front. Now, I've been dipping all day, so that I'm getting any mouthfeel at all. The nicotine is definitely there. The flavor is good. It holds together. I can move this around without issue, without floaters. So basically, in my mind, the Copenhagen Straight is what I've been going to when I want to shake things up and still have a straight. All right? When I don't want to do, when I want to change off my Stokers just for a change, but I still want a straight, the Copenhagen is what I go to. Now, in the past, I have gone Grizzly Dark Select too. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, I can never find it anywhere close to being within date in my area. There was suggestion on other sites that it had been discontinued. I looked into that. As far as I know, Grizzly Dark Select has not, repeat, not been discontinued. So with this, as usual, it is one of two smoky things, this or the Grizzly Dark Select. Holds together well. I can move it around without floaters. You know, it's not leaving a trail going to the side of my mouth. Tastes good, juices up. Slight mouthfeel, all good in general. And I'm not saying that I do a ton of this. Like, it just happens the way this fell, and because I couldn't find another product that was within date, that this just fell now that I was doing this. It's not something I decided to do because I had a can of Copenhagen straight earlier this week. That was just of my own accord. That's something I do. I'm not going to make out that, you know, I do it all the time. I may do a roll of Copenhagen straight in a year. All right. So let me get this out of my mouth. And file that. Oh, okay, little cuss. What are you doing here? And we'll go over to the Stoker straight. Now, this is my everyday. I am going to be biased, obviously. But I'm going to show you now what, like, the amount I actually do. So we're looking at something like that. Usually front load and then slide to the side. Don't leave it up front long, just due to the amount that I'm using. So it's centered right about here now. It's what most would consider all the way around the side. I will put it back even further, back to like my back molar. I'm looking for my paper towel here, sorry. I'm absolutely banging up my hands. So I sort of use this in a way that you maybe would confuse with, is that guy doing chew or is he dipping? Because I'm using it a lot. Now, as I said, the Stoker's product, and this is a big to buy or not to buy thing for most people, does have lower nicotine than the Copenhagen product. All right? And that's going to turn a lot of people off. That said, there is nothing that touches its cut. Okay? And I will show you that in a minute. And flavor-wise, for me, it is far and beyond. It's not like any other straight. So basically, you have regular straights, the classic straights, Skull Classic straight, Grizzly's interpretation of that, Kodiak straight, and then everything else lower tiered is trying to copy that. The root beerish straight, and then you have two that are smoky. The Copenhagen product that we're just doing right now, and the Grizzly Dark Select. Also, in its own right, an excellent product. And then outside of those two, so those are the only two that are smoky. And then everything else is sort of the same. As I said, it's all classic straights, using Skull Classic straight sort of as the model. You got the two smoky, and then in a third category by itself is the Stokers. And it's hard to describe. It doesn't have the root beer aspect. It's more a ripe, tangy. Not tangy like you're puckering up, like, but there's a tanginess there, and there's a darkness. Now, not so much dark fired. It's not smoky. Sort of dark rich. Like, it's hard to describe. Here's the thing. If you can find Stokers in a can, I'm not going to say go out if you've never had it and buy a tub. That would probably be a mistake. But if you can find it in a can, it's something you want to try. It's going to come off as a straight to you, but at the same time, it's not going to be something you're familiar with. Which brings us to price points. Now, I'm going to go with PA pricing here. Keep in mind that my pricing in PA is not going to be like your pricing in whatever state, because with tobacco, most of the price differences are from state taxes, and none of the states have the same tax code. So it's going to be different price, but I'm going to give you PA as an example, general example. So the Copenhagen product is about $5, okay, at my local Wawa. The Stoker's product, which is not carried in Wawa except for sometimes the tubs, I get at if I'm buying cans anyway, I get the tubs shipped in. I buy it at a tobacco outlet down the road from the Wawa, and it varies because it's constantly going in and out of sale, but I'm going to say it's never more than $2.60, $2.65, let's say. So as you can see right off the bat, there is selling points and detractors for both. Okay? Copenhagen has a lot more nicotine. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. Just because I love Stoker's, I'm not going to tell you that the Copenhagen has more nicotine. The Stoker's is almost half the price. This is probably priced about the same as Longhorn is in my Wawa. Now, if you need to pause and go back to the Stoker's cut and compare that to whatever you're looking at in your Longhorn can right now, I don't really need to expound any further on that, obviously. So, both excellent products, both well deserving of at least a try, unless you don't like straight. If you don't like straights, then, balls in your court, you make that decision. But if you do like straights, or you like trying anything dip-wise, you want to try both of these. These are both excellent products. They do have pros and cons, obviously. The Copenhagen is pro-wise more nicotine. The Stoker's product pro-wise is a lot cheaper. Personally, for me, it's a flavor thing and how black it spits. Now, I don't make a big deal about spitting on the channel here, but it spits pretty black. And this is, let me show you. Bringing it up between my teeth. Did you get that? I don't make a big deal about spitting on the channel. Check this out. And now it's back down my gum. And no floaters. Now, if you keep chewing on it like that or biting down on it, you will get floaters after a while. It will start breaking down, obviously. Now, the other thing about this is, it's over here now. And I didn't bring it around my lip. I brought it over my tongue. And that's the deal with the cut. Now, there were some floaters with that. I just expelled them. But you can also start doing stuff. Now it's back over here. No floaters. And that is the reason why I love Stoker's. And as I said, because I use larger pinches, the nicotine thing isn't really... The other thing is with that, it's constant with me, or near constant. So I'm never really without nicotine intake. Not when I'm working outside anyway. So that is that. This has been my face-off, going well past the 20-minute mark because, hey, it's me. My face-off of Copenhagen straight and Stoker straight. I do hope you all are well. Do take care of yourselves, and as always, God bless.